So what I thought I'd do today is put together a really quick biography of my playing and weave that into the answer to your question. So I first started playing when I was 16, and I realized that my friends who were in a band just had a guitar and a bass, and I realized that there was a place there where they could have they were making a choppier sound, like a rhythmic sound, and I realized they needed to have a little bit of like a sustained sound. And that's how I started playing, basically just applying the chord progressions that I had to songs and filling up that space in the background. And you know what? There are times when I still actually miss the ability to just have the discipline to just play those kind of sustaining sounds. And at times today, I still even will, add in. So that was that. And I still remember, being super excited one time when I had, back to the strings, when I still had, a chord, and I just like instinctively was like, added that top note there for like a high ringing sound. Very, very simple stuff. But I look back on it fondly because it was what the music needed at the time. And that was what I heard. And so that's my main sort of driver that I would tell anyone, which is whatever you're playing, this is a lesson my father told me, whatever you're playing, make sure it sounds good. And so I could barely even, keep these chords going on strings, but my attempt was to be listening with very big ears and to make sure that what I did, to make sure that my playing actually came from a need that was in the song already, as opposed to making my playing fit into the song. And even as I'm saying this, I'm realizing this is still stuff that I need to pay attention to this day in my playing. If you fast forward a little bit, there were times I didn't even have keyboards, but I remember one time, again, just because I knew the inversions, I was able to just step right in with my friends who were playing music for a wedding. We'd gone out to Chicago, and they were practicing for a song. I was sick because I wanted to play so bad. And the one person was struggling, and they invited me in. It was an old 54-key Rhodes piano, and it just was kind of this kind of a thing. It was just a broken chord thing, and that was basically all I was capable of. So I'm glad it worked. That's what they needed, and that I got to play. That's basically been the thing all throughout, is just whatever the minimum that I've needed to get by with, I've always kind of had it in place. The next big development was I was always kind of obsessed with the country sound. There was a lick that people were doing in songs. And what you need to know is that I can't really sit down and figure things out. Like, one, I don't have the inclination, and two, I don't really have the ear to be able to just sit down and figure out what something is. So one Sunday I was playing in church after I had been able to be the piano player for my one church, and I just accidentally went, "What was that?" And I made a note of it as we went by in the song. And we went to my in-laws' house, and they had a piano, and I went down in the basement, and I went every key. And all it is, so here's what it is. It's this little, so if you're playing a C, it's just this little, that's called a country third. I looked it up much later on YouTube, country third. And what I realized, so I did that for a long time. And what I realized was, once I found YouTube, again, because someone's got to show me, I can't figure it out for myself, is the real country third is kind of in this closed, there's a C here. It's kind of played in the first position. But this is how I first learned how to play it, was up here like this. And so that country third sound, that hammer on second to third like this has really adorned my playing. And in times I even think it's probably too much because everyone sort of, it's very recognizable. Then another thing I started adding at some point was little sixths, and I'll show you what I mean by that. And so what I realized is you got your C, first inversion, second inversion. What I realized is if you take the middle note out of that, and I may have even found this on YouTube at some point. So the first inversion, if you take this E out, there's a fifth, second inversion. If you take this middle note out, that's a sixth. Take the, on the second inversion, take the C out, that's a sixth. And so a lot of my adornments in parts of songs end up being sixths like that. There's a fifth. There you go, there's a sixth off that F. And so what I learned was how to walk. You can walk all through C with no black notes. It's very, very easy. And so that's a big thing that I do is a sixth. Every now and then I'll do thirds. It's kind of low down here where I have it set up today. There's that country second again. So back to the country second, one thing you can do is start thinking about a little bit is this second here. That adornment of just doing something with the second is always what I call free. You can do it in any chord. The other day we talked about the fourth, by the way. So in C, the fourth is the sus4 would be the F. And you can do it with the G also in C, the fifth, the G is the fifth. And the fourth, the sus4 and G would be a C. You can always kind of do that pretty much for free. But when you get to F, which is the fourth, so again, the chords are. So you can go. Now the F, the fourth in the C, key of C. The sus4 there gets to the B flat note. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that gets you more of a, that 4 is kind of tricky there on the 4 because it takes us into another scale entirely. There are songs where that's totally appropriate. But that's kind of a gospel sound, and you don't always want to do that. So the fourth is not a note you always want to add. Second, you can always add a second because it's always going to be in the scale. Fourth, you have to be a little more thinking about when you apply it. The sixth is similar to the second because you can always add that. The sixth here is A. The G, on G it's the E. On the F it will be the D. So that's a quick note about intervals that I wanted to make a point of as we go through. So you can always add a second for free, as I call it. You can always add a sixth, although the sixth is more associated with, a little bit more associated with jazz, a little bit more associated with rock. So I'm a little more inclined to use the second generally. All right, we are almost out of time, but I wanted to show you that I went from just playing sustaining chords to just broken notes, broken chords rather. And it was effective. The next thing I want to do is I will play a song, I'll put it together on a loop, and I will go along and play with it, and I'll show you the kinds of things that I'm doing. But for the most part, what I've just shown you, the thirds, the sixth, the and the little adornments, that's basically my whole toolbox in a very brief period of time. I don't have a lot to pull from, but hopefully when I get it all together, it turns into something alchemical that's greater than the whole of its parts. All right, I'll get this to you and then we'll meet up again.